Make it. We're ready to roll.
Do you think that we should ask the audience if they know the barbecue song in hopes that we can figure it out?
We were sitting around last night and I just started singing and Christian joined in. So we know it's something real. We don't know if it's an actual song or it's from a commercial.
Could be a jingle.
But it goes barbecue. You go up, I go down. Barbecue.
We harmonized.
I guess, sure. Does anyone know what song that is? We tried to find it last night on Google.
We sent a voice note to my brother, and he sent a YouTube video, but it wasn't that song.
Yeah.
This is before we sent him the melody.
Barbecue.
We'd love your help solving this mystery.
Maybe do we make it up ourselves, maybe?
That's possible.
So
a little embarrassing, too.
That's a pretty good song.
Well, everybody has a barbecue jingle now.
Every
it is
time
the end of summer.
you go to barbecue, you just sing that song to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, barbecue. So it's on the 8th.
You hit it on the 8th.
Yeah.
Well, we can add that to our list of songs we've written together.
It's not bad.
An accidental harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah. And today's guest, Stef Bénac, talks a lot about harmonies, actually.
Great harmonizer.
Gives us a little bit of a lesson there. And I asked some questions. I'm a little closer to understanding how this works. But it's something she worked at, like you, and it just kind of clicked.
It is something that you have to put the time into it, and it does just hit you all at once.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you forgot to do the intro.
Oh, welcome to Make It with Mike and Kristen,
where creative people talk about what they make and what making it means to them. There you go.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, I kind of stopped mid-sentence to do it, but that's okay.
That's all right. I miss it sometimes.
Yeah.
We try to do it organically, but I get caught up thinking about let's talk about how amazing this guest is.
Yeah. Which Stef is amazing.
She totally
obviously.
is. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just hung up on her, generally speaking.
Well, we can make a code for if you forget to do it and I remember that you're not doing it, I can flex maybe.
That would be good. We had our winking trick early on in the podcast.
Episode 1. I think we told the story before, but before our first guest came over, Lindsay Doyle, we didn't know how we were going to converse.
How to interview?
Well, yeah, basically. There's 2 of us, so whose turn is it to ask the question? When do I speak? When do you speak? And I said, well, we could just wink at each other, give a little wink.
Constant winking.
Yeah.
I think we told Lindsay that story and we all died laughing. Yeah. Like how awkward that'd be for everyone.
We never had to even discuss it after that, though. It just kind of became natural.
Mm-hmm.
It never has become an issue.
Now we just have to look at each other and we know that that's the sign for you're up.
Mm-hmm. But for reminding you,
I like the flex. Let's just do that for fun.
Okay, so it's just us when we're doing that. So
you often do the flex at home. You pretend like if you hear me coming down to the bedroom, you'll pretend like you don't hear, and I walk in the room and you're standing there flexing like, oh, I didn't know.
An ongoing joke.
Yes, this is a running joke at our house. I'm letting you in on some of the humor we have here behind the scenes.
It's pretty funny. You just walk into a room and I'm there flexing like I think I'm all alone and that's something I would do. It's not, but that's why it's funny. Yeah. Anyway, Stef is awesome.
Stef is so awesome. Who wants to gush first? Because I could go off here. So you start.
Well, she's just a very energetic, nice, kind person who's also very talented musician. And we did a tarot reading afterwards, which was really powerful. And she's definitely attuned to something that is out there, is bigger energy, something that maybe a lot of people might not even believe in, might say it's since it's not in the zeitgeist, it's not a mainstream thing. Some people don't give credit to stuff like that, but she's got a gift in that world, though.
I am no expert, but I would make the statement that she is the real deal.
Yeah.
And she's very natural about all of it. She's kind of natural about everything she does. She has a lot of energy. Like, she'd be the first to claim that.
Yeah.
But she has a way of really harnessing it and using it to her advantage. She's very intuitive. She's practiced this. And she uses that intuition in her art as well, which I find very cool. And we've heard other people, I mean, to some extent, we're doing this ourselves, but she's just kind of like taking this whole universe and boiling it down to this, you know, translation in her body. And it's all very cool. And I loved her stories that she told, you know, everything from witnessing ghosts or sensing maybe, spirits in her surrounding. And she talks about her start in music and how important community and collaborating is to her. She talked about Rose Morrison having a big influence, who we've had on the show before and who we adore. And she just has a lot of these people in her world who I think have informed her creativity and supported her. And she has shared that with us. She's someone that we're just now, or I'm at least just getting to know on a personal level, but she's been a supporter from afar. Like, I have felt that love and connection to her for a long time. Yeah,
it's nice when someone who we meet online, almost like someone who's in that online world comes into our real life, because we have lots of people who comment on a post or whatever, and we might not ever meet them in real life. And she is someone who's always been involved in our circle in that way, and now has become someone who's in our real life circle.
Yeah, we kind of felt like we knew her before she arrived.
Yeah. And I've met her before. I've played shows with her in the past.
Yeah, with Factory Girls?
We played Blueberry Jam together before,
Yeah. So you've shared the stage. Yeah. Now we've shared a tarot reading.
Yeah.
So she goes under Bénac Magick for that part of her life and business.
Yeah.
But I really sense this kind of, they're all intertwined. Everything that she has to offer just feels like one big energy force. So
and she is just a force in general, which is, it's exciting to be around because she's so energetic. You just feel like you got to get amped up yourself, and it's a nice energy.
Yeah, I think the listeners, too, will experience that. Just being in her presence, you're going to be energized. So
whether you're audio listener or video listener, I think you'll experience that for sure.
Yeah, this is a good one to tune into maybe on your drive to work to pump yourself up or something that you need a little energy for.
Yeah.
But I just especially loved, we talked about recording the tarot reading only because I wanted to give the audience a sense of her abilities.
Yeah.
But she kind of encouraged us, like, you never know what's going to come up. Maybe this is something we should do offline and completely trust her judgment. And once we did the reading, you can really understand, because it was so accurate. It was so validating. I felt like there was some great information that gave me comfort in my life and where I'm at. And she did this in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough about her. Yeah. Love her. Love you.
Tuned in. She dialed in.
Dial it in.
Yeah. Well, folks, this is a great episode. We had a lovely chat with Stef, and think you're going to enjoy it a lot. Hope you're all doing well out there. And anything else, Kristen?
Just let us know about the barbecue song. That's all.
Barbecue. Beautiful.
Here's Stef.
Make it.
Yeah, Dreams he's the only artist that, and it's funny because of all people, he's not even in pursuit of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yet that's who it happens to. Like, that, I think, is kind of telling.
Yeah, 100%. He's like, just let me do my thing.
And you've met a hero, and now you're like, no, I'd meet my heroes again.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's been good. It's been a solid experience. Same as like Carmen Townsend. I get to play shows with her. She was like, as a kid growing up in Cape Breton, like woman in rock music. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I used to fangirl. She was friends with my cousin, but I still fangirled like big time. And then, when she would play shows with me, I would be like, okay.
You've got that cool rocker edge to you, though. I'm sure there's
you.
some young women looking up and saying the exact same thing about you.
Thank you so much.
Are you from North Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From North Sydney, buddy.
Spent your whole life there growing up?
I did.
Yeah.
We did go to Alberta like every other person from North Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
And Fort McMurray for a year. And
Like the whole family did? Oh, okay.
yeah, my dad was a power engineer, and he got a gig out there, and then he was like really trying to sell it. He's like, oh, the opportunities out here. So anyway,
the music scene of Fort Mac.
The scene is popping off. But we went out for a year, and
How old were you?
I was 18.
Oh, the ripe age of 18 to go to Fort Mac.
Yeah.
I drove the heavy haulers, and I got to drink in the bars early because the 18 was the age out there.
Of course.
It was the beginning of the end for my liver. But but it was good. It was an experience. Like, I got thrown into the deep end, kind of like being an adult. Because it was just me and my dad out there, and I was like, we're batching it. And like, we had like, he's like, we live a Spartan lifestyle, you know. And then the whole family moved out later, but we just had mattresses on the floor. We were like total dudes living together.
Yeah.
Throw a divorced chicken on the table and a bag of salad, and that was our life. Because I was not a culinary goddess like my mom. So yeah, we just lived the old bachelor life, and then the whole family moved out after that, and I got to do a lot of things. Like, there was a lot of opportunity. He wasn't lying about that, because, well, like, I had just gotten my license, and I was working at Moxie's out there. And when you got the job at Moxie's back then, because it was like 2005, I think, there was still a smoking section.
Yeah.
In the restaurant. And
as there should be now.
Yeah. And they showed me the uniforms. They're like, do you want the hot girl uniform or the waitress uniform? And I was like, ugh, like, what
How do I
this?
choose?
They were like, these girls make more money because their boobs are out. And I was like, I'm going to do it with the waitress. Like, I went with the prudish outfit, but I still made good money. But anyway,
you'll be like, I'm the librarian, maybe, in this scenario. I don't know.
I was like, I know. It's like the ratio of men was like 7 to 1, like men to women.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need to be wearing anything with my boobs hanging out in this, walk of life. I'm good. But then I was like getting off a shift, and I was like doing a double or something that day, and I was exhausted. Dad knocks on my door. He's like, how do you feel about driving heavy equipment? And I was like, what? I was like,
dreamed of this my whole life.
Yeah, it was literally, I just got my license, just got my first job like ever. And he's like, and we're just going to throw you into a heavy hauler, like the biggest dump truck like in, the world. And I did have a minor incident, because I was new to driving, but
as to be expected.
It was like a little paint chip. It wasn't. I just kind of backed in the wrong way. Then they were like, "She's definitely on drugs." Because I was like, it was just, there was a lot of things going on that day. Mm-hmm. It was like rainy, and out there when you're driving the trucks, like things get slippery and slidey because there's a lot of oil in the sand, and it's like literally everywhere. I was like listening to like, I think Bob Marley or something, chilling out, having a good day, and then it was just like torrential downpour, and everything was like, ooh, like kind of, and I was on this weird embankment. It was like really scary. And anyway, I kind of just like missed the mark a little bit with where I was backing in, and I heard the shovel operator like, stop! And I was like, oh, sorry, buddy. Like, and I just bumped him a little bit.
And you're like, I'm an 18-year-old waitress.
Yeah. Like, I did not sign up for this. But anyway, it was all good. I got the training I needed for that particular shovel. But yeah, you live and learn. But like, it was quite
skills.
It was quite a random, And then I honestly like tried to go back to it not that long ago, because I was like, I don't think I like my office job. I think I need to branch out. I applied to Dexter's, honestly. Like, I was like, maybe I can do that again. I don't know. But yeah, it was a good place to get to know how life works and how adulthood works.
So before you went out west,
mm-hmm.
growing up in Cape Breton, what were you into? What were your dreams and visions? What did you see your life becoming?
Well, it was funny. I always wanted to do something like holistic, like Reiki, because a bunch of my cousins were doing that kind of stuff. Like,
so Fort McMurray's the right place to go for that.
Wellness capital of
If you want to
Canada.
be new agey, go to Fort McMurray. Yeah. But I mean, if you want to manifest money, it's good. But a bunch of my cousins were like into the holistic world. And when I was even a little kid, I was like, I want to do reflexology or, and then I was like, I want to be an artist. But I've always had ADHD and I didn't know back then because mom and dad never got me fully diagnosed. But I always had a million interests and it's like carried over up until 39. I'm still like doing a million different things. And like, that's just kind of, I don't know what I was put here to do. I guess just spread myself too thin.
Wow.
but yeah, I was like, I want to be an artist. I wanted to be a teacher because I really liked the red pens, back in the day when you could use a red pen. You can't use those anymore, apparently.
You can't?
It's like traumatic, I guess.
How?
Are you joking, right?
No.
Traumatic for who?
For the students, because they see the red and they're like, oh, it's bad. It's like this psychological thing. So
I try not to pass judgment
I know.
in very many scenarios.
Yeah, I know.
However,
I know.
I draw the red line at the red pen being traumatizing. Okay, carry on. I'm sorry.
I ended up being a teacher and I kind of left teaching for a lot of those reasons. I was like,
what were you teaching?
I taught a lot of different things. I signed up to be a secondary English and French teacher, but I ended up teaching everything from pre-primary to grade 12 to GED.
Yeah.
So I was
in Halifax?
Yeah, English language arts and French in Halifax. I taught at a school that is now defunct, so we'll leave the name out of it.
Yep.
They weren't it wasn't the greatest, but it was a private school, so I definitely got lots of good experience there and stuff. And then I got a job in the adult education world, and now I do online courses for the Air Force for my 9 to 5. And
for pilots, did you say?
Yeah, like pilots and mechanics and just whoever the course is for, kind of thing. And we've also done like other like really neat stuff, like gamified stuff. Like I wasn't a part of this project, but we did a course for anesthesiologists, and it was like 3D animation, like you're doing the work like in 3D. And we have a lot of like our company's a simulator company, so we have a lot of that. But yeah, so I ended up veering away from the red pen fear situation because I was like, this is not for me. And that's kind of what I do 9 to 5. But yeah, that's where life took me in a million different directions, I guess. So
I've talked to people before, and I too am like you, where I've had a million different jobs or lives lived within this one. Yeah, and whereas there's other people that just know exactly what they want to be, they follow this path, they're brilliant at it. I've always had a bit of envy for those that had the clarity and conviction of this is what I meant to be, but. I also try to remind people like you and I that our quote unquote thing is doing lots of things. Yes. Because not everybody can do that either. Yeah. So is that something that you have found sort of peace or clarity with yourself? Or do you feel like, no, I'm scattered and you're shitting on yourself?
I'm kind of both. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I'm so glad I have the variety. And then other days I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Yeah. So another thing that I do now that I wanted to be was a funeral director and embalmer. But I really wanted to be a surgeon or a pathologist, but I couldn't get the math. Like I definitely have an undiagnosed math disability. I cannot, like me and math are not friends. And it's funny, I ended up teaching GED math. Okay. And I somehow got people their GED math credit, but I had like Khan Academy on in the background teaching me how to teach them because I was like, I don't know math either.
Fake it till you make it, huh?
I was literally like, cool. But yeah, like that was one thing I remember being in the biology lab and being like, this is really interesting. Like anatomy is so cool. And like these frogs are so interesting to look at. And
this cow's stomach is amazing. I worked on a cow's stomach once in anatomy and physiology.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah. We had like a sheep brain, I think, and we had like the pig fetus, and we had a frog. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I like gross things. Like I like anatomy and I like biology, and I really wanted to be a doctor or a surgeon or something. But I tried to take so in preparation for taking pre-cal and calculus, I was like, I'm gonna take math 12. And then it was like advanced math 12. And I got like a 60. Like I just like barely passed and could not get my head around anything. And then I was like, I have this extra free class. Like, I'm going to take it again. And I got a worse mark the second
Oh.
time. And then pre-cal, I was just like, I almost failed. So I was like, I'm not going to be a doctor. So what else? And then I was like, oh, I watched a lot of 6 Feet Under at the time. And I was like, maybe that's
It's a sign.
And that took like 40 years, but it ended up happening too. So yeah. Yeah, it's wild. How,
So
like,
are you working in that field now, or like shopping? Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really weird field to get into,
Okay.
but it's funny because like, it's funny how everything intersects. Like, you know, I hear a lot of people on this podcast say like how music has brought everything that's really important to them into their life, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of the same for me. So like music's always been there kind of in the background. I was kind of a late bloomer with the music thing, but I started writing songs like probably 25, I think. So me and Rose Morrison that you had, that I know you're good buddies with, like she was like, I always say it was like her True Hollywood moment where like she left the Cotters and was just like off on her own at 18, and I kind of took her under my wing, and she lived in my house for a little while on the couch, and she was just like, you know, always the fiddle player, and then she started to challenge herself and learn guitar and like learn to sing and play. And at the time, like I'd kind of dick around on the guitar, but I wasn't like, you know, anything special. Still not, I'm not a guitar player, but we just started writing, and we had this 2-chord song, and, you know, and I was like, we did it. Like we wrote a song. It's like G and C, and that's it. And that's all you
good
need.
chords.
And it's
Great
called
chords.
G and C.
It was like, but like that was when I first started to kind of get into like actual writing and stuff like that. And yeah, I have Rose to thank for the inspiration there, and for
That's beautiful.
for how it all kind of panned out. So sorry, what were we? I see.
How did Factory Girls come to be?
So that's actually kind of how it started, because Rose and my friend Megan Kemp but she's now McLean, she's married. She would come up, and we'd all have a little jam, and we'd write some songs and sing some songs together. And I could never figure out, like, I'm not a music theory person. I'm an ear by ear person. And again, like, I wasn't ever the greatest guitar player. I'm more of a rhythm guitar, riff guitar player. But they would just, like, we just write simple songs. And then, you know, I'd learn, like, how they would do their harmonies. And I would always be amazed, because I'd be like, I don't understand how you're doing that. Like, what is this witchcraft? Like, how do you do a harmony? And I could never fully understand, like, how do you find it? And like, my friend Megan was in the honor choir and stuff, so she had lots of experience with, you know, the theoretical stuff, and so did Rose. And like, and I was just like boggled, right? And for the longest time, I started writing songs, but I could never figure out the harmonies. And then during COVID, where we were all trapped, I guess it was a little pre-COVID, because I joined Gabe Minnikin's band. So me and my friend Jason Keddy and a couple of guys, we were all kind of, Gabe was like, hey, you know, you came to our show, you took some videos, you want to be in the band? I was like, what?
That was your audition.
Yeah. So that was another moment where I was like, wow, like, he was in the Guthries, and like, that's like awesome. Like, they were a huge like inspiration to me. So anyway, ended up in his band. He wanted me to sing backing vocals, and I was like, I don't know how to sing harmonies, man. Like, I don't. And he was like, and here's a tambourine. And I was like, I was like, I'm just gonna suck at this. So I was like, I should probably bow out. And he was like, no. And then everyone, like Nick Lawrence, Matt Duncanson, Greg Daniel, like, they were all like super supportive. And no matter how many times I screwed up, they just supported me and let me mess up and like let me figure things out. So I kind of had a little bit of a sense from that. And then when I was trapped right after the COVID lockdown, I was like, I'm just going to make myself learn like properly. And I actually saw this really cool video, actually another Rose moment, where she told me about this Irish artist named Lisa O'Neill. Her and this other Irish artist named Rady Pete had this like really cool, it was almost like an analog songs, you know, like in Ireland, like version of this really cool old traditional folk song called Factory Girl. And they did it a cappella, and they had like the dissonant harmonies, the creepy, eerie Celtic vibes. And I was like, oh my God, like this, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I was like, I'm going to have a duo and we're going to sound like that. I'm going to call it Factory Girls. And I just made up my mind. And then all of a sudden, songs came out of nowhere. Like I had like 15 songs come out of nowhere. And I was like, so my friend Natasha at the time, like, you know, I was just messaged her because we were trapped. And I was like, do you want to start a band that's like kind of Appalachian-y, like creepy sounding, like folk music? And she was like, okay, because she had that kind of she has kind of like a Dolores O'Riordan kind of like that Irishy kind of like almost like a warble kind of thing that I love. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so we just kind of started it like chatting online and doing it online. And then when things opened up a little bit, we'd like jam on her back porch and like that kind of thing. And we just put up, I wrote a lullaby for my niece, who I was very emotional about because she was born during COVID. And I was like, I don't know if we're going to get to see her. So I was like, I want to write her a lullaby because, you know, that's how I'm going to connect with her because I can't. And I might not be able to hold her for months or years or like who knows, right? So it was a little tune called The Starling, and we just sat on Natasha's back porch and put up a video and we threw it on the kitchen party, and it just kind of like everybody responded to it. We were like, whoa, like where did this come from? We didn't expect the response. And I think because everyone was trapped in their house, we had an advantage. Plus, like, you know, the Rustic Crust was our first gig ever.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And shout out to the Rustic Crust. And they all, like, during that time, it was like only duos were allowed to play. So we kind of lucked out because we got all these gigs, like, because, you know, we were duo. But I didn't even know the songs because I just written, they just came out really fast. So we had like music in front of us for a really long time. Because I'd be like, literally just wrote this today, guys. Like, sorry, but
I'm writing it right now.
Yeah, it was just kind of like everything all at once. And then Natasha had a cleaning business stuff. She got really, really busy and kind of overwhelmed with like doing all the gigs because we gigged a lot. And I didn't realize how much like I'm the kind of person that can go and burn myself out to the point of exhaustion and not even realize, right? But like normal people are like, I can't, like this is a lot for me, right? So she was like, she did it for about 2 years with me and we had a lot of really good times. And then she kind of had to take a step back because it just got to be too much. And then I was like, what am I going to do without Natasha? Because we had some stuff kind of like we recorded a little bit with Garrett, which was really awesome. But like, it wasn't the Garrett recording ability that I had the issue with. It was like I used a shitty guitar. I should have used a better quality guitar. There was like things, and then Natasha had left the band, so I was like, I can't use this now because we don't sound like that anymore, and I don't know who's gonna replace her. So I was kind of like all up in the air about everything. Then I was like, you know what? Like I started this back in my kitchen, you know, or my living room and Olivet Street when I lived with Rosie and Megan would come over, and it was like a collaborative effort and it was a supportive collaborative effort among women. And I was like, oh, maybe I could do that with Factory Girls. So then like when we were recording with Garrett, Laura Merriman heard the songs so many times that she actually really liked them. And when I needed someone to fill in, she was like, hey, like, so I was just talking to you before the mics were on about how like you meet your heroes, sometimes you get disappointed, but you know, Laura was like basically one of the main reasons I picked up a guitar. And then she was like, I really like your songs. Do you want an extra person to like sing with? And I almost cried because I was like, oh my God, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have written anything, right? So and then you know, those two were like super supportive. So then I said, yeah, like this is amazing. And then I said, well, you know, if you like, I don't want to burn anybody out. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. And I want everyone just to have a good time. And I want to feature people that are female or female oriented, like in Nova Scotia, because, you know, females often kind of get kind of sidelined in music, right? So I thought of like Johnny Cash and Rita McNeil, and like all those people that had the variety shows, and that was always kind of a dream. And I was like, oh, why don't we make it like a variety show where there's a new guest like once in a while, like shake it up. You know, you get some of their songwriting, you get some of the Factory Girl songs, and you kind of like collab. And then so now it's like a collaborative group, I guess. So it's like whoever has the time that wants to put the time in, that wants to kind of mix and mingle. So like Laura ended up getting a lot of opportunities with her own stuff, and she kind of took a step back, and then but like she'll, she's like, we should get together again. It's like, she's like feeling like she's missing it a little bit, which is really nice. And like and then my friend now, like Bailey McKinnon from New Glasgow, she's much younger. I have two much younger than me women that are kind of the mainstays right now. But yeah, Bailey, she's in her late 20s, and she's just like coming up, and I heard her voice and I was like, oh my God, like, wow, like you are just, we're vibing, right? And so I didn't know, but she liked the music, and because Adam, my partner, was like, you should just ask Bailey to sing with you. And I was like, Bailey, oh my God, she's like so good. And I'm too scared. And then she was like, I've been hoping you would ask me, like when we finally got together. So it was awesome. And then Jessie McKay from Bénac is actually, I met her at a kitchen party with Rosie. So it's all
proper
like
thing.
Rosie's always like popping up and like seeding the
She's
band.
a connector.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. So now Bailey and Jessie and I got together last summer, and we did a couple videos with a 3-part harmony, which is really, really special.
So all of this to say you've learned harmonies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
what did you do to learn them?
Yeah, because I'm someone who still feels it's witchcraft. Like, don't get, like, people, we were at the Big Sing once, and people would, like, leave standing beside me because I was getting it just so incorrect. Like, so bad. Like, eventually, I was just mouthing the words and just like, I'm just going to make everybody more comfortable. So I would love to hear any type of advice you have.
So what people told me, because like I said, I had no real background except for my mom was a great singer, and she taught me a lot about technique and stuff, but like no one really could explain the witchcraft to me. And then I got thrown into it with Gabe, because Gabe just threw that at me and said, figure it out. So I had to figure it out, and not look like a total moron. But also I listened to a lot of songs with harmonies for a really long time, like a lot of Hey Rosetta, and like just like Appalachian music. Like I love the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack. Yeah, that's like, that's another place where Factory Girls came from, I think, because I was like, how do I make this kind of music as a kid? I like dissonant harmonies too. I don't like the 3s and the 5s. I like the weird sounding 7ths and 9ths and whatever. Like, I don't know the theory, but people are like, oh, that's a 7th, or that's and I'm like, wow, cool. And I love like New Orleans jazz where there's that dissonance and stuff like that. So I just kind of like listened to a lot of that stuff, and I eventually just practiced it, and I started to find them. And it's funny because now, like, where I've practiced so much and I've written, like, I will always like write the song on my voice recorder or whatever, get it down, and then put a harmony. Oops, sorry, I bumped the mic there, Mike. You're gonna have to edit that out.
Well, no, it's good.
We'll do a little
percussion.
Oh God, but yeah, I just eventually kind of, I think by osmosis, just kind of figured it out because I was forcing myself. And I have a lot of like early stuff that I was trying to find the harmonies to, and it was just like not quite there. It was like a little off, or like a little weird, or like so it's kind of like a scrapbook on my Google Drive of like the progression of getting better and better at it. But now it's like I hear them right away, and I don't know if you guys remember, because you guys are kind of from my generation, where I don't know if it was in the curriculum for you guys, but they had Peter and the Wolf in our music class. Do you remember that?
I didn't have music.
Okay. Oh, really? And look at music, you now. Yeah. That's so sad.
I had like when I was like really little, like
recorder.
Grade like 1 and 2, we had music, I think, but none in high school or junior high.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the elementary, I think it was grade 4. The music teacher I had introduced us to this like Peter and the Wolf, like classical composition, and it was really eye-opening because you listen to this composition as one thing, and then she would say, okay, here's what the piccolo sounds like, pick out the piccolo. Here's what, this sounds like, that sounds like, now pick that out in the song.
Okay.
And so it was like an exercise in like understanding the parts of the whole, I guess. And and now like when I hear a song, that's all I hear is the parts. Like I can't hear the whole anymore. And I'm like, oh, there's a harmony. I know that. Like,
you're in too deep.
yeah.
You've talked about this too. Maybe like
Yeah.
different example, but just how listening to music like most of us do just for pleasure and you kind of lose track.
Yeah.
Mike has a hard time doing that too because you're used
Yeah.
to editing and
Right.
fine-tuning
Yeah.
and just you hear it different.
Coming from a audio engineer perspective, you're always listening to the song and the parts
Yeah.
and breaking it down, so you don't really get a chance
Yeah.
to enjoy it. As of course, I still enjoy music,
Yeah.
but I'm always thinking, oh, how did they get that tone?
Yeah.
Or like, what's that
Same.
sound?
Yeah.
So,
And like, I did a little bit, like, I'm not a producer, but like, I did produce kind of like one of our earlier, like, Second Line Parade albums with my ex-partner. And like, I learned a lot, like, I did a lot of that stuff. And then
Yeah.
I couldn't unlearn it. And now my partner, Adam, is an audio engineer. So not only do we work on stuff together because we're in a band together, but we also, do the separate stuff. And he'll be working on somebody else's stuff and he'll be like, hey, you got the golden ears. Can you come like listen to this? And I'm like, excuse me. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. He's like, no, just like, do you hear any weird frequencies? Or like, so like, I not only like hone in on the parts, but I'm like, oh, there's a weird, and like, he's like, do you hear the, and I'm like, yeah. And like, we're there, like, I'm like, but there's more of a, in the back. And it like, it's just like,
speaking in code.
it's love on the spectrum. Like, I'm like, oh, there's a weird in the background. But yeah, like Adam's taught me a lot about production and like how to get the sounds you want, like what you need to do to get where you need to be. And and it's really hard to like take your brain out of that and just listen to a song. Like, it's like,
You're really good at making noises too. I don't know if any of that's integrated into your music, but that could be a thing.
I got the Muppet in me. We're all a little Muppety in my family. So.
Harmonies are such a weird thing, though.
Yeah.
Back to that, like that's something and not to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I just could always do them.
Yeah,
like
you have a good ear.
Once I started to sing, which I didn't start to sing till later in life, but once I could sing, could sing a harmony right away.
That's amazing.
And now it's a hard thing to teach someone.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, just sing the fucking harmony.
Just do it. Is there a science to it? Is it okay? Like, let me talk about things that I don't know what I'm talking about, because most people listening would probably ask maybe the question the same way I would, because I don't know the right words to use. But is a harmony just like an octave higher but on the same note? Because that's how I'd be like, oh, it must be the same thing but higher or lower.
Well, an octave
what is it?
An octave is the same note, but just
higher.
Like that's an octave.
Yeah.
But if you sang those two notes together, it wouldn't sound good.
No, it sounds like that's
But
just
not
you're
a
singing an
harmony.
octave. It's just not a harmony.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of
that
times
helps already.
A lot of times
not
when people are singing together, they may do sometimes if it's a guy and a girl or people different voices, they'll do octaves and it sounds super cool.
Okay.
It sounds nice and full. It's like almost like a pad.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But harmonies, I guess it's because I probably played guitar and I knew scales and how they kind of lined up.
Right.
I don't know any theory, but I can I can play this scale and I can play another scale that would be a harmony that goes with it.
You can like compensate for or transpose or whatever.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
And if I can't figure out, I can always figure out one harmony without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the next one I can usually do pretty easily, but sometimes I might have to just go to the guitar and like, okay, these work together.
Right.
Because when you know how the chords fit together, you can figure out the notes in it.
Right.
But yeah, I have some people like, well, how do you learn harmonies? I'm like, I don't know. There's probably good YouTube videos on it. I go look at YouTube.
But you talked about you just kind of practiced. Is that it?
It's like,
think there's a
for
moment.
me, there's like a TSN turning point.
Yeah.
With like really sucking shit at it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that sounded right.
Yeah.
Like, and I just
That's
kept
fun.
sucking. Like, I think Gordy Sampson says, dare to suck. I think in an interview with Amelie Sampson or something she posted, and she said, my dad always says like, dare to suck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I sucked a lot. And I still continue to dare to suck. But it really, it really is true, especially even with writing and harmonizing. It's kind of the same thing where like you look back at your old harmonies that when you were learning and you're like, oh, that's gross. But like it got you where you are and where you it's all about the journey and not the destination sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's definitely a correlation there, I think, with writing too, because like you look back at your old stuff that you've written and you're like, oh, it's so embarrassing, you know, and then you hone your craft like over time. But yeah, I don't know. No one's really ever taught me, like they would just demonstrate, I guess, is how like people would say, oh, just sing this note. And then I'd try and I'd be like, but I'm hearing your note and I'm getting all mixed up and I can't separate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be able to separate in your head, like to keep on your part and not sing the other person's part, that's another thing you have to really
that's
like
just
hone.
A practice thing for sure.
Yeah, we sometimes do that at night laying in bed. I'll sing and like Mike will give me a note or like a phrase and I'll sing it.
and
I have to like a melody and I have to close my eyes and really, really focus on doing that. And he'll do the harmony and I'm like, don't do what he's doing. Don't do what he's doing. It's very difficult to separate for someone that doesn't have the skills that you guys do.
And Mike, I don't know, what's your go-to like when you find that easy harmony? Which is it, the high one or the low one or the mids?
I sing higher than whoever I'm singing usually. I can do a lower one, but I have a fairly high voice, so most times if I'm singing with another guy, I always go high.
Right.
It's just
or me.
I love it. But you have such a deep like talking voice, like your singing voice and your talking voice are like so different. And like that's kind of what I always go to the high. And then I'm trying to really get like I'm good at high. I'm not as quick with low or mids, but the mids I find the trickiest cuz they're like not as blatant. They're like a little bit more subtle, I find. And like then you kind of have to like really parse through and see what and where I like the weird ones too. I'm like, what's the mid of this weird dissonant harmony? So it makes it a little bit weirder and it's more of a trial and error, I guess.
And you can have a different vocal part that's not necessarily harmony, but there's harmonizing happening within it,
right?
And it's interacting with the main melody. And some people would say, oh yeah, that is a harmony, but it's essentially a different vocal part,
right? Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
I want to go back to the birth of Factory Girls, and you talked about having these songs kind of just come through you.
Yes.
And I know that you do a lot of work with spirituality and energy and Reiki. Was this something that was part of your life that you think helped you channel that? Like, was it a chicken before the egg thing? Like, what came first?
No, 100%. I just got chills as you said that, actually. But I have done Reiki. So Reiki was my first real like spiritual practice, I guess you could say. And it was funny when I started doing Reiki, I was like hardcore atheist, like didn't believe in anything, but I was like, I can believe in energy.
Yeah.
I can believe in that, you know? And I've since become like way more of a kind of a pagan witchy person, but like for the longest time, I was like, I believe in science and I want to be a doctor. And like, I don't, I know when we die, we die. But then I had all these weird experiences and I realized that might not be the case. There might be a little bit more. And like, I think because, and like I said, I didn't write anything until I was about 24 or 25. So it was like way later than most people. Because I never had the confidence. I never thought I could do it. I never thought I could be good at it, or even if I wasn't good at it, to do it creatively. I just felt too embarrassed. And I was always surrounded by people that really knew what they're doing. Like Rose, who's like, I've played Carnegie Hall twice before I'm 40, right? And Rose's mom actually, like, kind of really, because I used to date Rose's brother, and so Rose's brother, Rose, and her mom all kind of like forced me. They'd be like, pick up the guitar. And I'd be like, no, I can't embarrass myself in front of the Cotters. Like, come on. And, they just forced me to do it. So, but yeah, the open channel started when I think I was around 15. I had like a lot of weird experiences where dead relatives would come to me and they'd come pick up somebody else that was about to die and that kind of thing, and the premonitions and the forerunners and then the Reiki just made that like really magnified it, I guess. So when I got my first level Reiki from my cousin, that was like a really eye-opening experience because I started to get really in tune with perceiving, and I used to just do it by feel, and I would get like, oh, this feels like pins and needles. There's a blockage there. This feels cold. This feels hot. There must be inflammation. Like I just kind of did everything by feel, almost like, Ray Charles when he take somebody's hand and like, be like, oh, you're beautiful.
I like her size.
Like, oh, yes. So I'd be like, oh, yes, like very beautiful chakras, but I wasn't seeing anything. And then I got my second level, I think in 2013. And that's when like I felt like I was on mushrooms all the time. I'd never done psychedelics, but afterwards I was like seeing my chakras, I was seeing spirits, I was doing the whole, it was like an episode of psychosis that I had never experienced before. And then around that time is when I really started to write. So it was like kind of like something cracked open.
Yeah.
And it just, and then once the Factory Girls thing came around in 2020, so that was a good like 2013 to 2020 is a good 7 years if my math is correct, right? So there was a good 7 years of
you are good at math after all.
I do 7 plus 3.
I'm just like I'm gonna assume she's right. That's my math brain too.
I'm literally
yeah, you could have said any number and I'd be like, yep, that's
math
it.
Genius there.
What can I say?
Come on, give yourself some credit.
Round of applause in the editing.
Oh my god! But yeah, but then it was like on top of because I started doing Reiki, I think it was 2003 or 4. So it was like a good chunk of time to have an open channel. And right around 2013, I started reading tarot, so that opened me up a lot too. And then it was just like I think also being in isolation and doing like I was kind of doing my practices more because I wasn't like having to commute to the office, and I wasn't like there's a lot of things that like would take up my time and energy before, and I got to be silent and quiet and alone and think about things, and and it just I think it definitely 100%. I think it's made my songwriting just come a lot easier, and it's funny because like the songs that write themselves are always the ones that I find are the best. Like if you really try hard to write, and you're like, come on, and you force it, like it doesn't work. But like with Reiki, you don't force it; you let it come through. So it's kind of a lesson in that, right? So
I want to go back to the feeling of not psychosis, like you see, like of
psychedelic experience.
Was that a Freudian slip, Michael?
Yeah. No, she was.
I said that.
You said that.
I was like on paper. It was really weird.
So you're experiencing these things you never felt before, then, or was this a whole new experience?
Yeah, it was like almost like my world went from 2D to 3D. Like if that makes sense. It was like because I would feel things. I was always feeling things as a kid. I was always like picking up on people's emotions, seeing through people, kind of, I'd always see through people, but then I'd make excuses for them and I'd end up with toxic people in my life. And then I like kind of started to realize I need to listen to myself more, but it was always a feeling thing. And then all of a sudden it was a seeing thing. Like I was like seeing, I lived in this really haunted apartment on Olivet Street, right across from the, that Titanic graveyard that they had. Like they have like Titanic, they've got World War I and II, they've got like every traumatic death.
Lots of happy souls, right?
Every traumatic death you can imagine. And it was literally like my place, and not just me, like my roommates were seeing stuff too. But I think because I was a little bit more opened up, I would see like holographic people walking through the living room, or like orbs just floating around.
And
like,
how does this make you feel? Like,
were you terrified?
Like if I just felt that all of a sudden, I think I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
So at least I didn't come out of nowhere because I had my Reiki teacher who was very like, she knew what would happen. And she said, like, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen, but if you're already having like forerunners, premonitions, if you feel like you're a little bit psychic already, you feel things, you're an empath, like she's like, it's gonna get worse. So she actually said, I'll give you your money back if you don't want it, because she was like, if you do want it, you're going to get it. And you're going to get it like big time. And I was like, okay. And I was always skeptical because I still have that like little bit of scientific, skepticism.
And you're from North Sydney.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, right. Like I like to say I'm like a nice stolen piece of copper wire. A good conductor.
How much would they
very
get
relatable.
for it?
Hopefully someday I'll fetch a good price for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, it's wild because that experience did freak me out at first because it was just like, it was kind of like, I'm not a big social media person. I don't love like all the inundation. I'm trying to actually limit more of what I'm doing on there. Spending way too much time on my phone, don't even realize I'm doing it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like TikTok, how everything comes in at you? Like as an elder millennial or an ex-millennial, like I'm just like, like overstimulated. It's too much. So it was kind of like that. It was like, I'm like seeing chakras and seeing auras and like seeing dead people and hearing dead people. And it was like, I understand like, people that might have some kind of psychosis, like schizophrenia or whatever, where they're hearing things and seeing things come out of the walls. Like that's literally, and I actually like got checked because I was like, am I actually just experiencing psychosis?
Wow.
Because it was like messed up. But over time, like where I was in kind of a very haunted location, I think too, I kind of got desensitized to it, I guess. Like eventually I just kind of was like, oh, there's the orbs again. Or like,
there's Gary.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, there he is again. Like there's this dude that was like an old sailor that used to visit me in my dreams. And I saw him walk through the apartment one day, like a hologram, like Princess Leia in Star Wars where like R2-D2 has the message.
Projects.
Yes.
It was just like
Did they ever interact with you?
Yes. So before I saw that guy, I could always see kind of like shadowy figures, and stuff like that out of the corner of my eye or whatever. And then I realized like, that's black mold poisoning. I found that out later that it's a symptom of black mold poisoning. But this place didn't have black mold. So it was definitely just weird vibes. But one time, and I'm really sad that this phone got ruined because I had like a voice recorder on my phone. It was an old Samsung at the time. And I could see this thing standing where it always stood. And I was watching a lot of Ghost Adventures at the time. So I thought I'd be like a paranormal investigator for a minute. And I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to this thing. So I put my voice recorder on and I was like, hey, like I'm here. Can you tell me who you are? And they always say you have to wait a couple seconds for them to respond or whatever. And I heard, uh-huh. And I showed my mom, and mom was like, move. She was like, what? That's not
like
your voice.
The voice recorder picked up theirs as well.
Oh, wow.
And there was nobody else. Like, it couldn't have,
gosh.
like, there was nothing on in the background. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I MC. And then my friend Katie moved in, and she started seeing the same things. So I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. My friend Nick lived with me for 5 years, and he saw... Like, I saw a swarm, like a bee swarm kind of thing of orbs flying through the living room one day. And I was like writing a song, and he was doing because he was the dish guy and I was the bathroom girl. Like, that's how we lived together for 5 years. We had got on great because the dishes were always done and the bathroom was always clean for the most part. So I was off duty and I was writing, and I saw these fucking things flying through. They were like gold and white, and they just went, and I was like, oh my God. And they were all like actual orbs. And Nick was doing the dishes, and he kind of was like, he was always like, oh yeah, you and your witchiness. Mm-hmm. Like, but then things would happen that he couldn't explain. So that was he was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, oh, good. You saw that too. He's like, it was like a big flash just went through the living room. I was like, thank you. Okay, I'm not crazy.
So what does how do you receive this? What does this mean to you? Because it's obviously incredible and potentially scary to have this experience, but how do you use that in your life as guidance or interpretation?
So when you ask about like what it is to make it, right? I actually put a lot of thought into that, and I was like, what is it to make it? And so to me, it's like it's like putting the ego aside, right? Because people are like, oh, you see things. What a talent. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I've been doing like distance Reiki on people lately, and it's a new thing I'm thinking about offering, but it's like, I don't know how to offer it because I'm like, hey, I'm going to lay down and go into a trance and you're going to pay me for it. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, I have a write-up and stuff, but it's weird to be like, you're not in the room.
Yeah.
You're in BC and I'm here and here we go. We're just going to do this thing that's really hard to explain. And like, that's what I'm offering. So I've been doing it like with guinea pigs. Like my friends are like really nice and offering. But yeah, it's like, what it means to make it to me is to put the ego aside, to get out of your own way. And this is another thing Rose has taught me a lot with the program she went through and kind of connecting to the higher power and all that kind of stuff. And to me, it's like, if I can channel a song or if I can channel a message for somebody that like hits them and it allows them to grow or it allows them to release something, like that's to me like making it. It's like to get that like healing to somebody that needs it, or to see, like, you know, even with the lullaby, like the lullaby worked. My niece fell asleep. Like I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So it's like almost like a gift from the universe. And then it gives back to you because you see like someone improve or someone relax or someone, you know, grow from whatever that is coming through you, from my stolen copper wire. And it's that's like the most rewarding thing. So I just like to take me out of the equation and just let what comes come. And I try not to force and I try not to question it anymore, because I used to really question. Like I said, I'm very skeptical. I was atheist. Like I was like against everything and I didn't believe in like woo woo, you know? And then over time, it just like, it kept pummeling me. And I just, there's also like a lot of patterns. You'll hear like a lot of people that have, you know, that are opened up. They'll say like, oh, well, you know, if this person shows me a rose, it's because, you know, like John Edwards or whatever, he'd be like, oh, you know, the lady showed me a rose.
Forgot about
she
him.
loved it.
Yeah.
Like, but there is like a sense of, like, some people, everybody has different ways of interacting with that kind of energy too. And with me, it's like, I see it, I feel it, I hear it, I get all the things. And it's not necessarily that it's a talent. It's just that it's practice. It's practice, and it's being open to something bigger than you. And I think like when you're open to something bigger than you, and because we're all one, I sound like a nutcase, but I'm a cult leader. That's what I'm sounding like right now. But we're all
copper
one,
wire
right?
cult.
Yeah. Copper wire cult. But we're all one, right? And the universe is this big giant thing that wants us to create. And it's this chaotic ball of creation, right? And it just keeps snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. So the fact that we're all interconnected and we're all in this big web together means that, like, if something comes through me, if I get out of my own way and let something come through for someone else that it might be trying to get to, it's just a quicker way for it to get there. And it also, like, it's easier for people to, like, if you open up to the bigger picture of how we're all one, then if something comes through me from the universe, or like a gift from somewhere else or something bigger than me, then it's easier for other people to see their truth in you, right? Yeah. So it's like, there's stuff that I've like channeled through that I didn't even realize I was channeling until, you know, it like happened. Like I didn't realize the song was channeling something that was like coming later, right? Like my ex-partner transitioned, and love her. Like, we're best friends. Everything's awesome now, but it was like a really difficult time for both of us because it was during COVID. It was like a lot of things all at once. And it was funny because right like before she came out, I wrote this song called Diamonds and Pearls, and it was all about like, I was like, what am I writing about? Because it was like, she gave you diamonds and pearls. Like, I gave you this, you gave you that, la la, but she gave you diamonds and pearls. So it's like, you left me for her. And I was like, what is that about? And then she came out as a trans woman.
Wild.
And I was like, oh, that's the other woman. You are the other woman. Like, you, like, that's what I was writing about. So like, there's things that like it's weird how
it sounds like it takes a lot of trust. And maybe you've just learned to trust it because you talk about your journey starting with, no, I actually questioned and challenged all of this belief.
Yeah.
And now you just allow yourself to use it.
Yeah.
And I think you're maybe one of our first, if not the first guest to talk about making it being really more rooted in other people.
Yeah.
Like it's about offering this to other people that allows you to feel fulfilled. That's really beautiful.
Like to see, like, for instance, like my dad wrote all these awesome songs, and he was like, he loved like old 50s and 60s country, like old outlaw country. And he always wrote country songs, but he never had, like, he didn't have the musical, like he had music and he had melody, but he didn't ever play an instrument, or he was like, I sing like a mummy. Like, I was like, I sound like a mummy. And, just like we were sitting out before my dad passed away, but before he got sick and everything, we were sitting out having a drink on the step one day, and he was like, Steph, I'd really love it if somebody would take my song, because he sent them to Rita McNeil. He sent them to like all these people, and then I was like, no, sorry, like it's not my bag to do other people's songs. And I was just starting to write and stuff at the time, and he was like, they're really nice. I'd be like, Dad, maybe we know like the Dunns, like we know Kim Dunn and Paul Dunn. I was like, maybe them, or like Matt Minglewood, I was like, we got lots of people, we got lots of options. And Dad was like, yeah, I guess. Like, but he was trying to get me to do it. But I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Like, I can't do your songs justice, right? So then we finally ended up doing a couple demos and stuff, and we called the band Big Bad Billy because he was Billy. And and he and all my friends used to call him Big Bad Billy as a joke because he's like the most docile, sweet, like hippy dippy, like Tommy Chong kind of man ever. And but to see Dad like so happy when his song was recorded, and it had the pedal steel and it had like the elements, and he was like, oh my God, this is what I always dreamed of. Like to see my little niece.
And you get to hear it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And to see my little niece fall asleep to her lullaby. Or like to see like my friend Jessie's that I'm in the band with, like her dad actually came to one of our gigs before, but Jessie was in the band. And he was like, I'm a grown man. And I couldn't stop crying during that song. And it gave him a release, right? Or like there was another lady, I don't know. You guys probably know Alex Libis on Facebook. He's on Facebook. He like supports everybody.
Yeah. He was at the gallery
yesterday,
I think.
Yeah, there's like him and his wife are like, but
Yvonne,
Yvonne's a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
So they came to a show at Island Folk, and it was actually my dad. It was one of the last times my dad was like well enough to go to a show too. And she said, "Who is that man over there? He's really important to you." And I was like, oh my God, like that's my dad. Like I was like, wow. And she's like, he's so proud. Like, and to have that like other person see it. And then she said, I'm a psychologist. And it was during the COVID times where everybody's going through it. And she was like, you really helped me release something today. Like, and I was just like, oh my God. Cause like healers need healing too. Right. And it's like to be able to provide that. And like I said, it's just coming through me, and I'm open to it. So it's like I try not to let the ego take over, and like I just let it happen, and like you said, trust, and like then like you get the feedback, and it's like, okay, like I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I'm on the right track. Like I can trust what's going on here. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are my
And you've added tarot to your catalog as well. Was that just kind of I want to learn more things, or were you led to this?
ADHD. Like jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, my uncle used to have a business called Bénac of all trades because my mom's maiden name's Bénac. That's why I go by Bénac online because my last name's Nicholson really, but it's like my stage name and my business name because it's such a weird name, right? But yeah, just adding that element on. I actually, it's funny. The first lady that ever read my tarot cards was Carlton Stone's mother.
Oh yeah.
And that was right around the time when Rosie was living with me, and like and Megan was good buddies with Carlton, and so we were all kind of, and we drove Carlton home one time, and he got talking about the spiritual stuff, and he was like, "Oh, my mom like told me I was going to work with Gordy Sampson. And before it happened, it was crazy. Like, my mom's really good at tarot. And he was like, you guys should come in and like get a reading. And she read for me and Megan. And I was like, whoa. And she nailed everything. And I don't think she ever did it professionally, but she just did it for like her friends and family and stuff. And that was the first person that ever read my tarot. And I was like, what is like, this is crazy. This woman does not know me, right? And like, I knew Carlton, but I didn't know him super well. He was like a friend of a friend kind of thing. And then my friend Emmy, who is in Montreal now, she's traveling the world, but she read my cards second. And she had this really cool deck that Carlton's mom had. It was weird. They all had the same deck. And that's the deck I use now. And
I wondered.
Yeah. And but Emmy, it was funny because it got to be, Emmy kind of felt like she was doing it too much for herself. And it's like a slippery slope because you don't want to depend on
like she
cards.
Was drawing cards to inform her own
She
life.
wasn't like trusting herself enough. And she was like, maybe I need to ask again. Like, and like, you don't get the right answer, so you ask again. And then it's like, ugh.
Today's horoscope isn't right.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, But yeah, so like, those people kind of showed me because like they didn't know, because I had just met my friend Emmy at the time, and she's like, let me give you a reading. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, how do you know all that? Like, what is going on? So it blew my mind. And I was like, I want to do that. I was like, that's super cool. And actually the lady that did my second level of Reiki that blew my mind and made me mildly psychedelic for a bit, I bought the card deck from her store. So I was like, it was all kind of connected. And I call the deck Nan.
Okay.
And so growing up, my grandma Bénac, like my mom's mom, was very blunt. She was like, no nonsense. And she was very intuitive. And she was kind of like in the neighborhood. She was like the psychologist, but she had like a grade 8 education. And, she was one of those like super wise people, wise beyond her years. She was ahead of her time. She's a really, really smart lady. And so I started reading for people, and it was often very like, I'd be like, the cards are going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So I was like, I can't sugarcoat anything. And it's funny because like Rose had a similar way of teaching fiddle lessons. So she had this fish that she called Lady Catherine because she met this really regal lady in England one time, and she was a noble woman, and she was like, oh my God, she was the most graceful woman I've ever seen. And I named my fancy fish after her. And she would like teach fiddle, and she wouldn't want to be mean to the kids. So she'd be like, well, play for Lady Catherine and see what she says. And like, Rosie needs to be like, she needs to be a children's entertainer. She's got the Mr. Dress Up like Jean 100%, and her voices kill me. Like, she'll just send me like little clips of like a song her and her dog wrote, and it's in the dog's voice. So like, she had this fish, and the kids would play, and they'd frig something up, and Lady Catherine would go, oh no, dear, that's a very sour note. Why don't you try that again? So like, I was like, oh my God, that's so smart, because like, when you're reading for somebody, when you're giving them harsh truth and you don't know them from a hole in the wall, it can be like very invasive. And like when I first started doing the readings and stuff, it was like potlucks and like parties and like people that knew me, and I wasn't charging anything. I'd just like practice on them, and it would all be like everybody out in the open, like. And then everyone would end up in tears about some deep, dark secret that they like didn't tell the whole room. And then it was like out for the world to hear, you know what I mean? So I learned very quickly that the harsh truths are coming through no matter what with this particular, like tarot decks are weird. They have like a certain energy attached. Like they have like a personality almost. It sounds crazy, but there's like gentle ones, and there's ones that are like pull you up by your bootstraps kind of. And that's the way Nan is. And so Nan is kind of my Lady Catherine, because like I'll be like, well, this is my deck. I give them the spiel. I'm like, this is Nan, and it's almost like my grandmother is speaking to you, because like she used to say to me as soon as I walked in with a new boyfriend, oh, don't like him. He's not for you, Stephanie. He's not for you. And I'd be like, Grandma, stop being so judgmental.
He's right here.
Yeah. And like my mom's like that too. She can see through people, and if she doesn't like you, she will never like you, right? And they just have really good intuition. And so yeah, I just say Nan says that because it's really not coming from me.
Well, we kind of talked about this prior too, because you've very generously offered to do a reading for Mike and I.
Yes.
And I was like, maybe like, should we pull a card for the listeners? And you cautioned me of like, if you want everything potentially on the table about your life, we can do that. But so we settled on doing it after the fact. But I'm very excited, and it's just so gracious of you to
my God,
to offer that.
My honor.
Have you had your cards read before? I feel like you have, maybe.
Yeah. Sarah Mater did them here at one point. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Did Tara do them at the Moonshine? Like at Shore Club
I
that
didn't
year?
get mine done.
No, I didn't. Well, she was very busy, but
and we were all busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do to sit down when you're like in a million different.
Yeah, you want to be focused on what's coming through. So
100%.
Do you pull a card for yourself every day? Like, are you using it? Okay,
because I find like my friend Emmy found it can get very toxic if you kind of there's like. If I'm feeling like I need guidance for sure, and they're always harsh and right, but I don't read for myself generally because it can get addictive, and then you start depending, and you're not trusting yourself, and you're not trusting like your common sense anymore. You get into that like dependence, and it's unhealthy. So like I have a boundary with it, and I have gone to some really awesome readers though. Like there's this lady out in Nanaimo because I had to go out there for work because there's an Air Force base out there for the search and rescue, and one of our training centers is out there. So I spent a lot of time on Vancouver Island. There's this lady in Nanaimo, and her name's Jan, and she is just like phenomenal. She's a channeler big time, and she just like. She channeled my dad, like she talked in his voice, like it was crazy. Like, so there's been like really good readers. There's another reader at the Neighborhood Witch. I don't know if she's still there, but Ariadne, she used to give me like timelines. Like it would be like in 6 months and 5 days, you're going to get this. Like it was very specific. So like I have my go-to people that I can trust. And now like one of my best friends, actually two of my best friends are readers themselves. So even if they know what's going on in my life, like I can keep my question in my head. That's what I do with, I read cold, so I don't ever know what, like you guys can keep your questions completely to yourself till the end of time. All I need to know is it made sense, and that's cool. But if you want to debrief, it's cool too. And I love it when people share because I'm like, okay, that totally like lines up with what I was seeing, but like, it's just like, it's so funny because the people are like poker faced and like you never know. And then you hear from their friend, they're like, they thought the reading was right. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was like totally wrong. But yeah, it's definitely, it's one of those things that's like a delicate thing to work with. Like you have to have the respect for it. And you want to make sure you're not like asking all the time, and like if I'm really struggling, or like if Adam doesn't want to admit it, but sometimes he'll be like, can you like pull a card for me, or we'll do like an either or, like this situation and this situation, like what are the outcomes, that kind of thing. So I've done that, but yeah, it is still accurate, but I have the bias, right? So I try really hard because I'm skeptical, and I try to be a skeptical scientific person. I'm like double blind study with the tarot. Like I'm like, keep your question in your head. Don't tell me anything about your life. Like I'm just going to see what happens and see what comes out, because I know bias is a real thing. So if I know anything about you, it's like frustrating and hard because it's like I can still read, but it's like I feel like I don't want to read into anything. You know what I
sure.
mean? So yeah, it's a delicate thing to work with. But I can see why people are like, stay away from the tarot cards. Don't do the tarot's evil. Because like that's what I heard my whole life, right? Because I grew up Catholic, and like,
and now we're like, stay away from the Catholics.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we are.
It's so funny because my other grandma was hardcore Catholic. She was awesome too. Great grandma. Very like much a part of the community, pillar in the community. Like same as my other grandma. Like very like matriarchal with the whole neighborhood kind of thing. And I found out because she was very like set in her ways with the Catholic stuff. My other Nan was a little bit more spiritual and like didn't always go to church and stuff like that, but she was still like a practicing rosary doer and all that. But I found out like from my aunt, who's kind of into the same stuff as me, she was like, well, yeah, like your grandma Nicholson read cards. And I was like, what? Because she's like this hardcore Catholic woman, and I thought the cards would be off limits. But she was also a gambler. She loved gambling and she loved card games. So she would read playing cards. And I think that was her loophole, because it wasn't the evil cards. It was her playing cards.
We all have our secrets.
Yeah, exactly. And I found out she would also do like healing hand stuff. And she'd do this thing with her wedding ring and sign of the cross. And she'd heal animals and stuff. And like, it's kind of like that Appalachian like grandma thing that they have going on down there. It's like, she was kind of one of those too, like a wise woman, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this has been passed on to you, though.
Yeah.
I feel like you have lived many lives. Like you're here with us now, but that's perhaps part of the story as to why you have so many talents and interests is like you just have too big of a spirit for one body. It needs to kind of like put itself out there.
And I've lived many lives in this life too. Like you were saying, like it's like I've had many different, I'm like Madonna. Like there's always a different like weird phase of life.
Still relevant, by the way. So
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a trip. And I think like my parents too, like my mom and dad were both very like intuitive. They had premonitions in their dreams. They had like, we would all sit around this is the beauty of being raised by like, I used to call them Catholic hippies, because they were raised Catholic and they had kind of that pressure, and like they were like, you know, you have to go to church, you have to get confirmed, and but they also had a jewelry gift store called the Sandcastle. And it was like back in the late 90s when like nobody was really doing the new agey stuff. And like mom had like crystals and like, you know, sage. And like, it was like basically like where it's everywhere now. Like mom was like the go-to, you know, candles, like magical stuff. But then she'd kind of like be a little bit leery about the tarot thing and the Reiki thing. And then it was funny. My parents never let me do Reiki on them until my dad was sick. And it was like right before he got diagnosed, we were in Truro in a hotel. We were just like waiting around because he had tests and stuff. And I just had a feeling it wasn't going to be good. And I came to sit with them and stuff and wait. And he was having a really hard time sleeping. And I think I had done Reiki and I'm like, maybe once on a plane when we were going back and forth to Alberta, because he's like, try it on me. And then he was like, oh, that's really relaxing. But he was always kind of skeptical and scared of it. Like, and mom was kind of like, I don't know. And then mom went out to get something, and dad's like sleeping pills weren't working. Nothing was working. He was in a lot of pain. And I was like, Dad, like, do you want to just let me do the weird thing just like this one time and see like what happens? And like, I put him to sleep. Like, I didn't put him to sleep. The energy did. And mom came back and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, Mom, I did Reiki on him. She's like, can you do that on me? So now they're like, they've got open to it. And she even asked me for tarot readings and stuff. And I'm like, I know everything that's going on in your life, Mom, but like, at least I don't know the question. Right. So it keeps me like from reading too much into stuff. But yeah, now mom's like really into that sort of stuff. And I think she's like really opened her mind up, especially since dad passed away, with like how it's not as scary as she thought. But it can't, like, I understand why, at the same time, why people warn people, and because it can get toxic. It can get like addictive. It can get you to the point where you're not depending on yourself anymore. You're depending on an answer from something else. And it's like, you have to have that responsibility. And it's a delicate balance sometimes, because people get like really, you know, they kind of go too far, I think, sometimes on the spectrum. So yeah, but yeah.
Wow.
Sorry guys, I had like an espresso.
No, you're doing amazing.
Like,
it's awesome.
That's a point of long form podcast.
Yeah, and I feel like it all connects.
Yes.
You know, it feels like all of this is part of your connected story, the music and the spirituality, and just being open to it. And I particularly like how you have started perhaps from a place of resistance or doubt, because that's relatable. Or those who have moved past it can relate even.
Right.
And it's just helped you in your life. So so share it. You know, it's amazing.
And like your career, it's like so interesting with you guys because like you've talked a lot on the podcast about like how you've both kind of like changed your mindsets and like you were in the politics world for a long time, right? And like it took you a lot to like trust to do something different. And like then you see like what your podcast has done, like, and how it's connected so many people. And it's like, it's honestly one of my absolute go-to like obsessions, like to listen to this and like because I drive a lot like back and forth to Cape Breton and like Adam loves it. Like we put it on, we're like, oh, who do they have on this weekend? It's like it's so comforting, and it's like even if I'm having a really hard time sleeping or like there's like something going on in my life that's really stressed me, I put you guys on. I'm like. Like, you are the Reiki of my life.
So sweet.
You're healing the healers.
That's
awesome. But
it's very thoughtful.
But it's like so cool that you know, I love it when people come from that like kind of corporate world or that government world and like kind of get a little bit more in touch with the bigger picture, right? And it's like as someone that also works for a corporation, it's like, and I work for 2 big corporations now. It can be hard to reconnect like that, you know? So I'm really amazed with like how you guys like have progressed and like your whole story is just like super inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah. Whenever I'm feeling like,
I would describe this podcasting as similar in a way, not necessarily of channeling energy, but a lot of our guests even are surprised that we don't prepare questions.
Yeah.
We do enough research that we're not putting our foot in our mouth. Like we know who you are, you know, we've watched some of your videos, but why would I know your whole life story and then sit down and expect to have this organic, revealing conversation? Right. So for us, so that works, and there's 2 of us, so, you know, we can look at each other for like, you're up.
Yeah.
But all of that to say, there's an element of kind of being present and just with you.
Yes.
That's as complicated as it needs to be. It's not that we're journalists or have degrees or experience in reporting and interviewing.
Yeah.
But we have learned to just trust that when we sit down with someone, it's just being with them.
Yes.
Just listen and allow that conversation to unfold however it's going to take you. So I have curiosities about you. Like I knew coming, like, I wonder what this is about.
Yeah.
But it naturally just happens.
It's
I
organic.
usually don't even have to ask the question and you tell me what I had hoped you would. So
Right, exactly. And like that's the beauty of like what you guys are doing with the community. It's like you're bringing people together and like this is such a cool format because like I love when things are unstructured because I'm a chaotic person. But I love not like I like to have I'm weird because I do like to have a plan sometimes, but then with certain things I'm like I love the free-flowing intuition kind of side of things. And and you guys have had so many like really eye-opening like, oh my God, I just listened to like the Joel Plaskett one and I know he was kind of like talking about the spirituality of music and stuff and I found that so interesting and it's like you find commonalities with your guests and with you guys like I'm like, oh, that's like we have that in common and it's so nice to like feel connected in that way. And I find like the art of conversation. As you know, I talk a lot and I need to learn how to listen more because you guys are like excellent listeners. And I'm like, what about you? Let's talk about you. I'm like, oh
that's another day.
I push the ego aside. I'm like, and more about me. Anyway, but the art of conversation is something that is really like dwindling, I think, in our society. And I think it's an important platform because not only does it like connect people and make you realize, you know, that creatives have all different processes and like, oh, maybe you're a little bit like, and then you're very like different. Like you guys were saying when I came in, there's like polar opposites of the spectrum too. But it's to know that there's variety, number one, but to also be able to like keep a conversation going with interesting tidbits. Like a lot of people can't do that anymore, right? Because of the
we'd
screens.
be great at dating now, I bet.
Yeah. You guys should be dating coaches. Like give them a handbook for like how to have a conversation.
Ask about her hat.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Love it.
But yeah, like it's so refreshing. It's like and it's crazy too because I ran into because I play like two very different types of music and then I have played other types of music in between, and I have like a pretty big like network of people I know because I'm like doing funerals, I'm doing embalmings, I'm doing like that whole world, and then I'm like in the corporate world, and then I'm also like in the musical world, and then in the music world there's like multiple projects going on, so I get to meet a lot of different people, and with music you meet a lot of younger people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had this really cool conversation with this person at Gus's not that long ago. I think it was probably a skunk motel show we were at or something like that, and we were in the little casino because I was like I was going through like perimenopause, like dying, and I was like, I just need to get in the cold for a second, and like because I was like dripping, and this person just came in and sat down, and like I didn't know who they were, and they were like, "Oh, does this seat free?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, enjoy the AC, like no problem." And we got talking, and they were about 21, and it was really cool because they pulled out like an old Game Boy and they had it modded a certain way with like music on it. They pulled out an old iPod and they were like, this is the stuff I love. Cause I was like, oh, you're so young. Like
vintage.
Yeah. I was like, oh, so that's what's like cool that like, that's like, it's like us and record players, right? It's like,
yeah.
Or 8-track players. And it's so interesting cause they told me like, they're like a I think they would be like a borderline Gen A, Gen Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'd be on the cusp, like kind of like the X-Millennials. And they were just like, it's so overwhelming to be in this generation. And they were like, we just want things to be simpler. We just want to like...
Black pen only.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
We want to bring back the red pen. We need the kick in the arse. No. But it was so cool because they were like, everything's so overwhelming, and it's like a blessing and a curse to be brought up on the internet because like your whole life is on there. There's no privacy. There's no like filter. There's no, and they were like, to have a contraption like a Game Boy or like something that's not connected to everything.
Yeah.
They're like, it's so liberating, and it's like almost like you're off grid doing like the iPod thing or whatever. Right? So it's like, it's so interesting because I think a lot of young people, even though they're really good at technology and they're like, they're brainiacs and they have like a totally different sense of like boundaries and like inclusivity and like just like understanding like the struggles in the world and how we can make them better. But they're also like, we don't like this world either. Like, because I'm always like, I feel like I was born in the wrong time. Like, I just feel like I don't fit into the technological era. And like, that's another thing, like the music stuff. Like, I hate social media, like having to, like when you posted about like the exhaustion you feel about having to keep up with all this stuff. And it's like, just when you thought you had 6 things to keep up with, there's another one that you have to keep up with. Like they're adding more on, and it's like, there's so much burnout with that. Right. But yeah, it was so refreshing to see this 21-year-old like, I don't like any of that stuff, and here's my Game Boy, and I don't even I think he had like a flip phone or something. I was like, what is this world? It was almost like, I felt like it was like Mad Max, you know? It was like this like new generation of like
but I think like
cyberpunks.
speaking of all being connected, I think more and more people are feeling this way. Youth being no different.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing this too from my 20-something-year-old network or friends.
Yeah.
They're just disinterested. It's boring now. It's kind of been done. Like, I was thinking to myself the other day, I have checked Facebook every day of my life for whatever, 10, 15 years, however long it's been around. Like, there's very few other things I do with that much commitment.
Right.
And it doesn't make me feel good. It's just, if you really think about your experience with it, and of course there's lots of positive aspects to it as well, that we acknowledge that. But at the end of the day, like, you have to eventually ask yourself, is this serving me anymore? Yeah. Maybe it once did. I used to really have fun with it. Yeah. It's okay that I don't anymore. It's okay to let those things go, be it social media or whatever in your life, that like, we're different people. So let yourself be different. You don't have to keep just trudging along.
Exactly.
So, I think everybody needs a little digital detox.
Yeah.
We're a little bit too engrossed in that world.
Yeah.
Everybody. And we're getting more and more into it.
Yeah.
So the younger kids who are stepping away, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to do that as well.
Yeah, we have to lead by example as well. And
but it's like truly an addiction because like
100%.
I have had my fair share, like as someone with low dopamine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of end up drinking too much all the time or end up doing something. Like my boyfriend, I think, also struggles with the dopamine. He smokes. Like there's like things you do that are like addictive things. And I've never really truly been like in an addict kind of mindset. I've managed to kind of figure it out eventually, but like I don't think I've ever been as addicted to anything as I've been to, and I don't even like it. But like you said, you wake up in the morning, you check it. It's like you're more than smoke. You got it, like you know what I mean? And it's like a ritual.
See what's on the go.
Yeah,
see what's on the go.
And I'm like, and then I think like, because I've been trying to get into like ritual practices because I'm very chaotic with my spirituality, but everything has a purpose. But I got like this little working over here, I got that working over there. I'm doing this for this person. I'm like giving the Virgin Mary a little, you know, like shrine, like hanging out with her, doing the ancestor thing. And then I'm like, I need to be more like disciplined with my rituals. But like you said, I do that automatically. I open up my phone, I look up Facebook at 6:00 in the morning. Like, that's messed up. Why are we doing that? So I thought about getting a flip phone myself because I was like, maybe I'll have like a burner phone so that like, like I'll keep my phone, but I'll just like only use it for things that I need. And then like, because it's so distracting and it's so overwhelming, like with the way of the world. And it's like, it's important to understand what's going on in the world, but it's also it's a lot to take in every day.
There are a lot of other resources that we can, if this is what our reasons are, I want to find out what's going on in the world and not like Susie 3 doors down.
Right.
You can find out through news channels what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
So yes.
We did it
There's
before.
other ways.
We can do it again.
Yeah.
Or just start worrying about our little communities.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
I think that's the grassroots movement is what's going to happen in the next little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely needed.
Yeah. I think going back to, you know, having, because that's the thing, like I really struggled with my corporate job. I think as you mentioned with your political stuff, it's like trying to find your purpose and like trying to figure out like, why am I even doing this? Like, is this even doing anything? You know what I mean? And then like going into the funeral industry, I felt like I had a purpose because I was like, at the end of the day, I have something done. Like I've done something. I can say that like because my other job, it's like churn all the time. And it's like nothing is ever done. Like the last project we did was 7 years of hell. Like it was just like constant, like everything is like, there's never a feeling of like, I did this and it's done. Right. And I think like going back to that, like making jam, making pies. I noticed you're making pies.
On
like
a tear.
Getting back to that like firm sort of aspect of like having a purpose, like making hay, like having that physical like connection to land and stuff like that. I think it's like really important. And I do agree. Like I think we're slowly we're getting really overwhelmed and it's like, how do we dial it back? And that's why we got that whole like cottage core culture, I think now. And like everybody's like off grid and wants to live in their van and like that kind of thing. It's like, it's needed, you know?
Yeah. Well, and this funeral directing really kind of ties back to how you described making it. It's about really helping others through a difficult time in their lives. So I see a through line. Although you're doing a lot of things, your values are your foundation, and that seems to be the constant. So
100%.
Is there anything, Steph, that we have missed today that you had hoped we would talk about, or perhaps work that you want to share, or how people can reach you to have a reading?
Cool.
Let's wrap up in that way.
Sure. So I will mention Driftwood, like I mentioned to you.
Yep.
So my friend Heather is the booker there right now, and it's a really spacious venue. They have like it's just on Gottingen Street, right beside like Edna and the local and all that stuff. They have like a big room, a stage, and they're currently doing some really neat things with like theme nights. So they have like Tuesday nights are like a Celtic session, which is awesome because I really miss the Celtic sessions. Like I don't know if they do them anymore in the city. They used to do them at the Triangle and stuff like that. And it's always a good time. And then they have like Wednesday night, like they're going to do like a country night, which is really cool, like kind of a jam thing and an open stage, I think. And then Thursday nights are jazz. So they have like, it's a cool venue and it's right across the street from my house. So I really wanted to like succeed and do well. And their food's awesome. And they just opened in like March. So they're kind of trying to get things off the ground. So I just wanted to mention those guys because, like, we love their food. We love their staff.
Very
and, like,
sweet.
They're really cool. And I think eventually I might be doing, like, a little tarot thing there. I'm not 100% sure yet. We got to figure all that out. But yeah, I'm also going to do a tarot pop-up at a place called Splurge. So that is, it sounds like it's expensive, but it's actually quite affordable, which it was funny. I walked by this store like my whole life thinking it was like out of my league and I couldn't afford it. And I went in one day just to like look around because we were waiting for a movie to start. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was like dopamine central. So it's a little store in the Park Lane Mall and it's run by two Palestinian sisters. They're like awesome people. They have the coolest products. They have like all the saint candles of like the pop stars. Like it's very like pop culture, kitschy, like all my favorite things. And they've got really cool jewelry and accessories and like really neat like local stuff too.
Okay.
And every time I go in there, I've just like loved it. And I dropped like $100 every time. So I was just in there buying something one day and it's like, this seems like a witchy store. Like it's got like some vibes, right? And I was like, would you like to do a tarot pop-up sometime? And she was super all for it. Nadia is awesome. So I think we're going to do that on the 3rd of October. So keep your eyes peeled for, we'll be advertising that. And what we do is I do like a sign-up sheet so that it's all taken care of ahead of time so that people aren't disappointed when they show up and they can't get a reading or whatever. And so yeah, just like you can email Bénac Magick, so BENAC there's a K on the end, at gmail.com if you want to book in for October 3rd. I'm doing it 5 to 8. And yeah, we just figured like back to school, people will be in the mall. And I was like, I want to bring people to your store because it's so awesome and like everybody should know about it. And they should know it's not expensive because it's like splurge, but it's also like you can splurge as in you can get a ton of things for a really good price, right? So yeah, and what else is going on? We got Bring Me Sleep is the kind of heavier band that I got going on, and we're currently recording. We're almost done. So we'll be releasing that soon. We had some hang-ups with the recording. It was like we were like trying to get everything kind of organized and we were like, we're going to release this in October, right? That's going to be our goal. And then our drummer lopped his finger off by accident at work. So he's a carpenter and he got it reattached. He's like killing it now. He's an even better drummer than he was before. I was like, you're truly metal now. Like Tony Iommi had to lose his fingertips and so did you. But, yeah. And then like our guitar players, like where we were recording some of the vocals in his basement flooded with sewage. And then we got broken into and had to move and everything just blew up. So it was funny. We were all like the members we were like, this band is cursed. We need to do some energy work for this band. But it was just kind of happened in threes. Everything happened at once. And then we kind of got behind. So we're definitely getting back into that like now coming into the fall. And the Factory Girls album is like, again, partially recorded, but that's going to be, it's like a collaborative album. So we're featuring like different artists like Laura Merriman, Bailey McKinnon, obviously the mainstays now. Jessie McKay is going to be on it, and then Leona Berkey and Helena Christie. And oh my God, there's just like, yeah, there's like
great
a plethora of like really awesome East Coast ladies with the harmonies there. And yeah, we'll see when that comes out. We're going to also try to do something maybe live off the floor that's like a little less high maintenance because it's like herding cats trying to do a collaborative album. So it's, it's like a labor of love, but it's like, you know, again, things take time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and you can follow like Bring Me Sleep, bring.me.sleep, I think, on Instagram, factorgirls.band on Instagram, and Bénac Magick is Bénac.magic on Instagram. So if you ever want to check anything out, it's all there. And I just want to say thank you to you guys, because again, it's a lifelong dream of mine to be here in this little room with you, and I really love everything you're doing for the community, and it's a truly authentic and genuine effort, and it's just bringing so many people together, and so many people getting so many people talking about the creative process is such a cool concept. So thank you. You are amazing. And I have nothing but gratitude for all the podcasts I've already listened to. So they really changed my life big time. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. You have a lot to talk about, a million, so many things you're involved in. It's amazing. And really grateful that you were able to speak about all those, and I'm sure our listeners will be excited to hear about it as well.
Yeah, awesome. Somebody will listen to this and feel the exact same way that you have about other interviews. Aww. So thank you for being here and making time for us, and we'll be following you.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. All and right. this home is just so warm. The warmth, I can feel it. It's just I'm so grateful that it's a welcoming environment.
Yeah. Good. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, cheers, folks.
See you next week. Make It with Mike and Kristen is recorded and produced by Michael S. Ryan at Hot Jupiter Sounds.
Intro and outro music by me as well.
Cover art by Emily Rankin at Take Note Graphic Design, and photography by Candace Moore.
If you cool cats want to help us out, the best way to spread the word is by telling a friend about us. Tell your mom, tell all your buds. Word of mouth is still the best way to reach people. It's free for you and helps us immensely. And if you're into it, you can like and subscribe and all that stuff too.
Another way to support us is through our Patreon. We have a number of super fun tiers and perks like bonus content, handwritten postcards, creative coaching, and so much more. Find us at patreon.com/Mike and Kristen.
For the makers, the dreamers, and the figuring it outers, have fun trying to make it out there, friends.